I wanted to move away from this topic and move towards transfer talk, because in the international break, you get a lot of rumours, you get a lot of speculation. And one of those rumours has to do with Bournemouth centre-back Dean Huijen, who has impressed for Bournemouth this season in a really high-pressing team. And Bournemouth could get Champions League football. There's not an unrealistic possibility that they could do that. So I wanted to ask you whether you think that him transferring to Liverpool would potentially be something that would happen, or that the club would look at.
I don't doubt for a second that they're looking at him. Obviously, Richard Hughes knows a lot about him, having signed him for Bournemouth, and Liverpool scouts aren't stupid. You see a centre-half of that age playing regularly and playing well in the Premier League, it'd be daft not to be keeping tabs on him, particularly as a really attractive release clause as well. So a lot to like about this one. But the one area I just have a little bit of scepticism about with this move is this going to be an easy sell to Dean Huijen this summer? I think he's going to have a long list of top clubs who are going to be in for him, especially at that price. But what Liverpool are looking for essentially this summer is someone to replace Joe Gomez, because we do expect that he will leave and Liverpool will need another centre-half. And, maybe Gomez is just ahead of Quansah, isn't he? So Quansah's fourth choice, but you're asking someone to come in as third choice centre-half. Now, there probably are quite a lot of minutes there in terms of, Konate can dip in and out. Maybe he won't get as fortunate with his injury history next season as he has been this season. Maybe Van Dijk will start to need to be rested more, but you are still third choice. When the biggest Premier League game comes around or the biggest Champions League game comes around, you are not going to be starting it if you're Dean Huijen. Now, he's only young and the opportunity's there to come in and learn from someone like Virgil van Dijk, which would be really, really attractive, I imagine. But the reality is he's playing week in, week out at Bournemouth at the moment. So when he does make the leap to a big club, why wouldn't he wait for someone who says, we desperately need a starting centre-half to come in and join us, and you are the one. We believe that you should be that. That might be someone who's slightly a rung below Liverpool, by the way. I think Newcastle, I believe, are interested. He would definitely start games there, and it's a club with big ambitions, just won a trophy, obviously beating Liverpool, and want to get in the Champions League consistently. Maybe that would be a really good move for him, or maybe some of the other big clubs who are out there who are sniffing around him can offer the guarantees of game time. But with Liverpool, I just struggle to see how they do that, particularly going into next season, because for me, it's clear, regardless of contract situations, and I believe Van Dijk will sign. I think Konate would hopeful that would get sorted out, that Liverpool will have those two as the starting two next season. So if you're Dean Huijen and you're playing every week, why would you make that move now? And when I say these things, I get pushback about this on social media all the time, but I just don't think people are realistic about this. You have to sell it to the player, and the player has to agree. And you can say all you want about, well, if he's not interested in competing, well, yeah, most players aren't. They want to know, they want guarantees over what the role is going to be, and they understand it's competition, but they also, if another club who's in a great position offers you the chance of playing every week and being a starter from the off, you're going to take it. So, I think that's the slight skepticism I've got around it. Maybe he'll surprise me and say he wants to come and learn from Van Dijk. He's happy to be second choice for third choice, for a couple of seasons. But I just personally don't see it at the moment.
Yeah. Do you read anything? Because I was looking at his stats recently. Do you read anything into the fact that his aerial win percentage isn't that great? Because I know that Liverpool, that has been something that they've looked at in their centre backs. You think about the dominance of Konate in the air. You think about the dominance of Van Dijk in the air. Do you think that would be something that would concern Liverpool, or maybe because he's so young that they would just look to develop that aspect of his game?
It's definitely important to Liverpool. It's been kind of top of the list for scouting centre-halves for a long time now, because they want to be a high-pressing side. And if you do that, the ball is going to come long an awful lot, because you're going to force the opposition to kind of just get rid of it. So aerial dominance is massively important, and it's just massively important in the Premier League, full stop. But I read a thing on social media. I should really have looked into this before I repeat it, but let's see if it's... I'll just put it out there and we'll see if it's true after. Something about that his numbers in terms of aerial duels have been skewed somewhat by a lot of losses in 3 or 4 games in particular, and otherwise he averages fairly decent level. Again, I'm no scout. I don't watch Dean Huijen week in, week out. I know he's a very good player when I have seen him, but I don't know enough about that. But I'm sure Liverpool will have a better read on that in terms of whether that is true. But as I say, there are other reasons maybe to be sceptical about this one happening. But by the way, I would love to see Liverpool sign him, because I think he is a fantastic young talent, and that aerial duel success, maybe with filling out a little bit, which will happen because he's a child at the moment. With that, maybe that aerial duel percentage will just creep up a little bit as he gets older as well.